Hey Baddie, it's Saturday morning and I want to come on here and break down to you my 16K sales week. The breakdown of exactly where all the sales came from, how I made those sales happen, the specific actions that I took very intentionally that I call needle moving activities that created this amount of sales. The reason I want you to watch this live is because there are a lot of things that I did inside of this week in May that I think you need to replicate in your business to create not just more sales, but more predictable sales. So let's break it down. So as you know, I just got back from a 5-week trip in Europe. And so when I was coming back, I got back to Vancouver on April 30th and I was definitely very jet lagged, right? But I was about to approach a new launch, the relaunch of Next Level Baddie, and I had a certain sales goal for that. And I knew that also in the background, I was selling my place in Vancouver, my apartment in Vancouver. We've sold it. We are looking for a new apartment in Spain, and we were actually like very heavy in the search. I have a lot of stuff to do with regard to like moving. So I knew it was going to be like a really busy month. So I was like, okay, if I want to hit my sales goal, then I'm going to need to do things very intentionally, right? And so one of the first things that I want you to really understand about the 16K in sales that I did in 7 days, in the first 7 days of May, is it didn't just randomly happen like that. This is literally like months, if not years, of me refining my approach and me continuously also pushing myself out of the boundaries, right? Like pushing the boundaries on what I do and getting really comfortable with taking uncomfortable action. So what I'm going to talk about in this live as well is some of the things that I did that might actually, when you hear them, sound uncomfortable to you, but I want to really invite you to push the boundaries and really almost like go out there and get the sales yourself. I think when we're in the building phases, a lot of the time we get stuck kind of like creating content, posting on our stories, sending emails, but we're not really doing any of the additional kind of like heavy lifting that I think is really beneficial in the building phases. Okay, so the other thing that I want to share with you before I really break down the 16K sales week is one of my biggest priorities right now in my business is client retention. That is actually probably maybe even sort of maybe like a bigger goal than actual sales in my business, because I teach the 2-step offer suite model. So that's where you basically have a lower entry ticket point offer and then you have a high ticket offer, and the idea is you are pulling a lot of people into your lower ticket offer and then a lot of those people are re-signing into your high ticket offer. And then inside the high ticket offer, you want to optimize for re-signs, right? You want people to be with you for the long run. And so this type of client retention is a big thing that I'm focusing on right now in my business, because I want to get away from having to constantly get brand new clients off the street into my high ticket offer every single time I need clients. Like we want to have client retention where when someone comes in, let's say into our lower ticket, they stay with us for a long time, right? This is also called an ascension suite because people are ascending within your offers, getting their transformations. So just want to give you that background before we dive in. Okay, cool. So the 16K in sales in 1 week that I did was basically from 3 high-paying, high-ticket clients. So one of the parts of the 16K in sales was a client who was already in Next Level Baddie. So when I first launched Next Level Baddie in February, it was a 3-month program. And so right towards the beginning of May, we were wrapping up 2 months inside the program, and one girl inside had already upsold from, and that was actually in like April, I think. She had then re-signed to extend from 3 months to 6 months. So that was like 2K in sales in April, part of this like this relaunch of Next Level Baddie where I'm extending it to 6 months and relaunching it. And so one of the girls in May, another girl had decided to extend from 3 months to 6 months, right? So she was re-signing for another 3 months. And the way that this happened was honestly so smooth. It was so easy. And I want to just take a step back here, because it's not just the way that I approached this re-sign with her, but it's because I have been committing for over like probably coming up to like officially a year, if not more, of only working with dream clients who truly match my energy. They are the people who I can help the most, and we just like have the same vibe. They get incredible results. They put in the work, because that's actually what increases your client retention, is when you're working with the right people. So with this client, she's already been getting incredible results inside of the program. She has really been refining her content. She actually landed like a 2-month coaching client right at the beginning of the program. So she was getting really great results. And so it was coming up to the point where she was going to either resign or not resign. And so I had it in my mind to actually to reach out to her, to remind her like, hey, we're at the end of April. Let me know, how are you feeling about like continuing for another 3 months? But I thought to myself, before I do that, I'm just going to go like send an email to my email list, which obviously she's on, and just kind of put like a subtle call to action, like, hey, you know, like we're relaunching. Next Level Baddie is now 6 months. Let me know if you want to get inside. So obviously she's already inside. So I sent this email, and it was like a few days before kind of the end of April, I actually wrote the email on the train from London to the airport when we were flying back to Vancouver. So I literally just like threw this email together. And in the email, I think I just talked about kind of like, I talked about how it takes time to build your business, right? So I thought maybe like this would be a really good angle to kind of speak to her, to explain like, hey, like it takes a really long time. It's good to have long-term mentorship. It's good to have someone who really knows your business and can really refine those things with you over the long run. And that's what I kind of used to pitch Next Level Baddie. And literally, hey, Sonia, I'm so excited you're here. I'm just breaking down the 16K sales week. And just chatting about the first person who was someone who had re-signed inside Next Level Baddie from 3 months to 6 months. And so I'm talking about, you probably saw that email because you're on my email list, where I was talking about how it takes time to build your business. And like, you know, things take a lot of time to build. It's really good to work with someone who can, you know, help you avoid those shortcuts type of thing. So I sent this email with sort of like the intention to see if one of the women inside Next Level Baddie who was sort of due to resign, to see whether maybe that would kind of like start the conversation. And I kid you not, literally a few hours after I sent this email, she messaged me on Instagram, and she's like, oh my gosh, like your email reminded me that like I need to decide if I'm re-signing or not. You know, thanks so much for the reminder. Here are some just questions I want to like ask before I decide to re-sign. And literally, and then within like, by the time I had flown from London back to Vancouver, she had let me know, and it was like May 1st. She was like, I'm ready to re-sign, sent her the link, and she was in for another 3 months. And that was actually an additional, I think it was like 3.5K in sales, something like that, for her to like re-sign. And the great thing that I really want to double tap on here is when you're working with dream clients who genuinely really love, sure, let me know what your question is. You can pop it in the chat if you want. But the nice thing about working with dream clients is they don't need to they re-sign easier because you're just the right match, right? Like it's always like, sometimes when I see people struggling with client retention, or at least when I have struggled with client retention in the past, it's been because I'm actually not working with the right clients to begin with. And when it's to begin with not really the right match, it's going to be harder to like upsell them and retain them, because they're not getting the best results that they could, because it's simply not the right match. Maybe they're not the person you're supposed to be helping. Maybe they just don't match your vibe, right? But when you select the right clients from the beginning, everything becomes easier. Serving them becomes easier. Upselling them becomes easier. Getting them incredible results over the long run becomes easier, because everything is just the right match, right? And so what was really great about this was I didn't actually even have to and so what I noticed, and so what the great thing about this is I didn't actually even have to, you know, go and approach the conversation about the re-sign with her. She just read my email. used it as a reminder, went into my DMs, asked me the questions about, hey, here are my questions before I re-sign, answer them, and then 2 days later or like a day later, she was like, great, let's go, send me the link. And so that is honestly the big value of working with dream clients, again, because it's so much easier to retain them because they're getting great results. They love working with you, and you don't need to actually really approach this whole thing as like some official upsell, right? And so the great thing about that too is I didn't have to go out and find brand new clients. I didn't have to go out back into the street and find a brand new client. Like, I was literally able to create sales in my business without having to find new people off the street. This is really valuable because it's so much easier to upsell an existing client than to acquire a new client. Acquiring a new client means you have to build that trust, right? But when someone's already working with you, you have that trust. And this really proves that two-step offer suite model. Sorry, not maybe like the two-step offer suite model, but like the offer suite model where people come into your world and then they extend, right? So Sonia's saying the same thing happened to me with that video you sent me. So that's actually something I'm going to cover too inside this live. So I know Sonia really loves the behind the scenes. So maybe it'll be interesting for you to hear, sorry, one sec. For you to hear the behind the scenes on that. One sec. Sorry, one sec. What is going on? Okay, sorry, just trying to do something here, but it's not working. Anyway, okay, cool. So that was the first part of the 16K sales week. The second part was, so this is like major BTS. So what I did for this relaunch of Next Level Baddie, I've been doing this for a while now in my business, but this time I really tried to like do it very kind of properly. And I created a list for myself of all the people either inside of my programs or outside of my programs, or maybe like they had inquired in the past, or like, you know, about another program that was maybe similar. So I basically created actually a list of about like 10 to 11 people who had expressed an interest in Next Level Baddie or had inquired about working with me before, to basically reach back out, have a conversation, and see whether like it's appropriate for me to like invite them into Next Level Baddie, or maybe like they are just literally going to volunteer that information themselves, right? So I literally created the whole list, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go and just like basically talk to these people and see who's maybe ready to come in, right? And so I started out with people who had inquired before. I literally just reached out over DMs. I was like, hey, what's up? How's it going? How's business going? And then based on their response, like I might have said like, hey, you know, I know you inquired about Next Level Baddie before. You know, not sure if you've seen, but I'm actually running an early bird bonus. This is like such a great time to jump into the program. I'm restructuring a bunch of stuff to make it like even better. How are you feeling about coming in? And so I actually went through like 9 or 10 people on the list. Again, I had about like 11 people on that list that I was like, it was called my May 1st outreach list. I reached out to a bunch of them, and honestly, actually getting through I had this list of 11 people to outreach for Next Level Baddie. And so I actually went through the full list of like, let's say 9 or 10. I had like one person left. And it was a mixture of either they were like, I'm not really looking for that right now, or like, I'm not ready yet, I just need another month, or like, let me just check like my finances. There was like kind of like some people who were clearly like, they're gonna join at some point, but like at that point they were like, I just like really need a month. I have this like thing going on. And I had one person left on the list. And And like, I feel like there's so many people who would have like looked at that one person left on the list and just been like, you know what, like, I'm not gonna, like, no one said yes, like, what's the point? I'm so embarrassed, like, I'm not gonna reach out to this last person. But I literally have always promised myself, and like, part of being a baddie is doing things even if you're not necessarily getting the big result yet, because it's all about getting yourself to do those reps, to put those reps in, right? Really like kind of invite people into the program. I'm like, hey, you inquired before, I'd love to know if right now is the time, like it's a great time to jump in. I've really been trying to like put those reps. Sorry guys, my internet's a little crappy. And so that's why with that last person, I was like, I'm going to reach out, because it doesn't even matter. Like, this is the thing in business. Sometimes you have to do things and it doesn't even matter if it's not going to work, because number one, there's always timing issues, right? Like with the first 9-10 people, they were just like, ooh, not really right now, but I really want to be there soon. Catch up with me in a month. Or like the second thing is, you might not know how to do it well, right? Like there was a long time ago where like I would do this outreach and it would be really awkward, right? But the really important thing that I feel like people miss in business is they try something and it doesn't work, and then they're just like, I'm doing it wrong. And it's like, no, because there's so many other things that might not have worked out. And also, even if you're doing it wrong, that's why you need to do it. You need to keep doing it, right? And so that's kind of like my little segue there. But so the 11th person, I was like, literally that Friday, I was like, we're going to reach out to this person. And this person actually knows exactly who they are. And so there's someone who was in my membership from like the beginning when I relaunched it in January. She's absolutely incredible, massive action taker. She had actually upgraded into the VIP tier inside of my membership, which is called Messaging Fast Pass, where basically you get to work with me once a week in Slack one-on-one on your content. And we just go back and forth and do a bunch of like messaging work, customer research, refining your content, looking at your data, getting clear on your dream client, optimizing your profile. Like we just do everything around your content to like sharpen that, to bring in your dream clients, like interest, inquiries. And so we were actually 2 weeks into Messaging Fast Pass, and I think we had just done our second Thursday. And she was paying like a certain monthly tier, and she had told me, I'm going to do Messaging Fast Pass for 2 months, and then I'm going to go into Next Level Baddie. So I knew that like she was willing to pay a certain amount monthly for Messaging Fast Pass and then go into Next Level Baddie. And the thing that I also knew was, with my early bird bonus, the monthly rate that she actually would be paying to be inside Next Level Baddie would actually be pretty much the same as what she's paying in Messaging Fast Pass. So I actually like used my brain and I was like, okay, this woman is willing to pay X amount per month to get more of my support. Well, Next Level Baddie with a 9-month payment plan is also actually that amount per month. And she's literally been telling me like, I can't wait to be inside Next Level Baddie. I really want to be in there. I'm so ready to be in there. I like love all the results people are getting. She was literally telling me a million times, she's like, I want to be a next, like I knew that was her next step, right? And so I literally sent her a video. I created a little Canva presentation for her. Like I'm also really big on personalized outreach. Like really, if you're gonna pitch something to someone, like make it really personal to them. And so I literally created a little Canva presentation where I was like, this is what it would look like for you to get into Next Level Baddie right now. So I told her, hey, this is your current plan with and then getting into Next Level Baddie in 2 months, right? Then I literally compared it to her. I compared it for her. And sorry, we have a special connection. Remember that one YouTube video? That's all it took. Yeah, this woman is in the chat right now. And she literally has been incredible. Like we've been connected for like way too long with that YouTube video that got you into the membership. But basically, so I created this little presentation to show the difference. I'm like, hey, and my whole message with the presentation was, these are your options. I was literally like, you are the CEO of your business. You know your financial situation. Like, you know how you're going to grow this business, but I just want you to know, here are the options. And actually, if you want to get into Next Level Baddie like quickly, that's actually possible for you right now based on like how much you're actually paying per month, right? And literally I recorded a Loom video too. I was like, I make it super personal. Like I make it really just like, I like also when people can see me speaking to them, because I feel like that just kind of like adds to like the pitch, if you will, where you can really like refine the tone, where it's like, hey, you know, it's totally up to you, but these are your options, right? So I sent a little, like, I think it was like a 12-minute video or like an 8-minute video, sent it off to her, messaged her in the membership, and then literally within 2 hours she was like, hey, like, absolutely, let's do it. Like, I'm so ready. Like, here's my, like, you have my credit card information, just basically update the plan, right? And literally she was like in Next Level Baddie, and she's getting early access on May 15th because she's jumping in for the early bird bonus. And the thing here that I really want to like highlight is I feel like a lot of people would not be comfortable doing that, and an old version of me wouldn't have been comfortable doing that, because number one, it's like directly selling like that just is naturally uncomfortable for a lot of people, right? Number two is it's like she had just upgraded to the VIP tier in my membership, and I could have so easily thought like, oh my gosh, like, you know, she already upgraded, like, who am I to now like ask her to upsell again? But I want you to really flip that mindset to like, you're actually serving the person. And literally one of the things that she said to me when I sent this video to her was, thank you so much for looking out for me and like giving me this option, which tells me that it's like she is so happy that she was given this option. Like, she didn't see it as like, oh, like you're trying to upsell me again. Like, no, it was like actually selling as serving. And I think like the third part is also like, just generally, I feel like we're sometimes afraid to take someone's word for something. Like if someone to me tells me, hey, I really want to be a Next Level Baddie in the future, I'm going to kind of hold you to that, and not to be like, oh, like you said, so come inside. No, but it's more just like, you've expressed that desire. I'm going to honor, like, and kind of like hold you accountable. I'm not going to like force you into anything, obviously, but it's like, to me, it's like, I take those things very seriously. And it's almost like, I'm going to kind of go on a tangent here. It's almost like that's just the standard of how I want people to behave in my world. Like, if you say something that you want to be somewhere, like, I'm going to take it seriously, because like, I don't just say things like that just to say it, right? So it's almost like, if someone says it just to say it, and then I follow up and say, hey, like, you said you wanted to be in here, this is a great time. And if they're just like, oh, like, I didn't really mean it, it's like, well, that's on you. That's on you to just be like throwing things around, saying things that you don't mean. And that's not going to actually help you in your business, right? So I'm actually so passionate about like holding people accountable to things that they said, even if they didn't mean it, because I want to train people to be like, hey, you said that, I'm going to now bring it back up to you, because like there was a point in time where you said that. And like, if you're just saying it just to make yourself not going to serve anyone, and like, I'm going to kind of clearly tell you like, hey, you said that, now you're not following through, right? And so that's just kind of like a really interesting little thing that I learned through that. And that was like the second client. And then the third client, absolutely incredible woman, so excited. So this is where, again, I talked about this a lot on Instagram the other day, but when you don't have a lot of time to, I mean, none of us want to spend 8 years, you know, building our business and selling and stuff, or like, you know, 25 hours a day or whatever. So I always am a really big fan of basically like selling smarter. And so something that I have been doing for a bit now in my business, I've been trying to be more intentional about it, is paying attention to who are the hot leads in my audience, in my community, right? So these are people who are obviously watching my Instagram stories a lot. They're people who are, you know, reading my emails. They're maybe clicking on my emails. They're people who are attending my Instagram lives. They're people who are following me on multiple platforms. How can you pay attention to those warm people, no matter how small the signal is? Like, I'm talking like, if someone is hitting my engagement sticker on Instagram stories, like that to me is a signal. And I'm not saying that like now, like, oh, they hit my engagement sticker, they're ready to buy. No, I'm not saying that, but like, there's something that's closer there. Even if it's the smallest thing, someone who is like viewing your LinkedIn profile, like repeatedly, these are all signals. And so something that I've really been doing recently to lead up into this launch is paying attention to who is very, very engaged in my community, right? And there was a woman who has been on my email list for a long time, and she has, I think it was like 3 times actually in the past few months, clicked or in the past like 2 months, clicked on an offer link in my email. Which, like, backstory here is I have pivoted a lot in like my business and my email, and so my email just I'm still kind of working on getting more clicks to my offers and selling in my email list because of just all the shifts that I've made. So I'm kind of like pruning my email list, if you will, so I don't have like a ton of people clicking on my offers. And so when I see people clicking, I notice it. And I had seen that she was really like clicking on these offers, right? And so I basically just decided to connect with her on Instagram, and because I sell a lot on my stories, so I wanted her to kind of see my Instagram stories. I think for some reason, like maybe we weren't like following each other for some dumb reason. So that's the other thing. If anyone is clicking on your freaking emails, go follow them on every social media channel where you are selling so that they can get exposed to your message. And so I found her on Instagram, and I just like connected with her, and I was like, hey, like, you know, finally we're connected on Instagram. Like, that's so weird. Like, why haven't we been following each other? And she responded. I didn't actually see it yet, and I was selling on my Instagram stories, and literally I didn't even have a chance to look at her response. She had DM'd me the keyword. And then we had a sales conversation within a few days. She was like, I'm in, send me the link. And so this is something that I've been doing a lot more in my business, because I feel like I used to think that it was all about your content. It was like, just post the right content, you know, make sure your content, like, yes, like content is so important, but like, especially in like the building stages, which I still truly believe I'm still at the building stages. Like, I think you're still building until you're like, you know, making 6 figures or multi 6 figures or something like that. And so I really believe that we need to do a little bit of manual work to get things going in our community, right? And that's what this stuff is, in terms of like engaging with people who are very tapped on to what you're doing. Like, they're showing you that they are attending your lives, they're clicking on your emails, they're DMing you. Like, these are all kind of people who are paying closer attention to you. And so I think instead of just like, you know, posting the content and just pumping it out and just kind of almost like ghosting, it's like, I think we need to build those relationships and kind of start those conversations on our own, right? And that's also part of like my whole kind of outreach strategy, which I'm still doing right now. Like, I have about like 3 to 4 women who like want to come into Next Level Baddie. They're either just like wrapping up a container they're in, or they're maybe like onboarding a new team member that's just like gonna give them more time. You know, one of them is like waiting to get her wisdom teeth removed because it's just a big drama thing. And so these are all people who, you know, we could just keep posting content, but I think a really effective thing to do in the, you know, in the building foundational stages is doing that actual manual outreach, doing that manual relationship building. It's not just going to help you get sales now, but it's going to help you get sales in the future. And this is something that I'm like leaning heavily into in 2024, is that outreach piece, that relationship building piece, that like smart paying attention to, okay, what's going on, who is kind of like ready to go. And sometimes people need a bit of a friendly push, right? Like, it's nothing salesy, it's nothing gross. Sometimes just people need a little bit of accountability, right? And I think sometimes also like people need you to see them in their power when sometimes they might not see themselves quite there yet. It's almost like, especially when you have a very close relationship with a client, sometimes like with the woman who I reached out to with the video to show her, hey, like if you want to come into Next Level Baddie right now, I think like sometimes people don't know that they're ready, and when you invite them in, they're like, oh, okay, like this makes sense because you're inviting me in. It's like, okay, this makes like, because they trust you, right, as the expert. And this is kind of like a really big thing with dream clients, is this is why everything just flows so much better with dream clients. It's because they trust you in every way, like down to your expertise, to your prices, but also to your advice on what they should do. Like one of the women who was the first one to re-sign inside Next Level Baddie from 3 months to 6 months, we had chatted about it on a call, and I had pitched it to her, and she was like, yep, I'm in 100%. I want to do another 3 months. And then like a week and a half later, she actually reached out to me on Instagram DMs, and she's like, hey, for some reason I'm like, oh, there's a bee. Oh gosh, go away. Sorry, freaked out about bees. But basically she had reached out to me a few days later and she's like, hey, like, I don't know why, but like I keep like going back and forth. Like, is this the right thing for me to like re-sign? And she was like, my main concern is just like, I don't necessarily have like the time to watch all the videos. And that was kind of her objection, right? She was like, I don't know if I have time to like watch every single video. I feel like I'm always just like trying to catch up. But you know, like, can you just kind of help me decide? And this is like so huge because with dream clients, they actually will come to you with their objections. Like this woman also is, she's been in my like programs for a long time. She was an IG baddie. And even when she was like signing up for like IG baddie, she's like, hey, like, I just need you to tell me that like I'm gonna have time for this and it's gonna be good because I'm like freaking out about my schedule right now. But like just words of affirmation, basically. Like they will literally tell you, hey, like I really just need to hear you say that this is like the right thing for me, because they look to you as the expert, as the authority, and they trust you to tell them the truth. So when this woman was telling me, hey, like I'm kind of going back and forth, this doesn't mean now permission for me to be like, yes, this is the choice for you, 100%, get in. This isn't like me now taking advantage of the fact that she trusts me to just be like, yeah, get in, like sell. But it's like the way I approached it, I was like, let's talk about that. Like, let's actually uncover it. Like, you know, so I explained to her, hey, like you don't have to watch all the trainings. Like you're already getting incredible results. Like you don't have to watch the trainings. Like you can just get my custom feedback in Slack and on the calls. And that was like what she needed to hear. But I was also just like, it's totally up to you if it doesn't feel aligned. But like, I do think that like we can do a lot of really great stuff with that. And so that's why I love dream clients, because they will look to you as long as you don't break their trust, obviously, but like they look to you as the person to guide them where to go. So when you tell them, hey, you're done, you're currently in this program, you're currently doing this, right now you could actually go here, I think this is the right choice for you, they're going to actually trust you as long as you're coming from a good place, as long as you're coming from the point of the benefit of the doubt, right? Or not the benefit of the doubt, sorry, I don't know why I said that. You're coming from, you know, a way that's going to help them. You're focused on what is going to serve them. And when they see that, they're going to trust you and be like, yeah, like I absolutely need to re-sign. Like this is the smart thing for me to do, right? So the last thing that I just really want to kind of touch on here is a lot of those $16,000 in sales that I did in a week. And granted, I just want to really highlight here, these are sales. This isn't cash. This isn't like literally $16,000 in my bank account. This is going to be recurring revenue all the way into 2025, which also, by the way, is literally the reason I built Next Level Baddie, because I think recurring revenue is just the best thing ever. I had a client yesterday who's in Next Level Baddie. She just resigned. She's one of the girls that I'm talking about in this video. And yesterday she just heard that her client who she's been working with for 2 months is re-signing with her for 6 months for like a higher rate because it's more access to her. And that's like 6 months of recurring revenue. That this woman has created like 1.2K recurring revenue for the next 6 months. That's huge. Like I would personally rather that than all the 6K right now, because building that recurring revenue, it's like security into the future. And it's like, it gives you so much security and confidence and lack of urgency when you're building your business, because you know that you have that money coming in installments over the next few months, right? And now your job is to basically just stack more recurring revenue on top of that. That's what I freaking love. And so the $16,000 in sales recurring revenue, literally like a lot of it, if not like over half of it, came from existing clients. It was literally client retention, right? And like I said in the beginning of this live, like that was my big focus. That's my big focus in my business right now. That was my big focus for this launch. So for example, even just like inside Next Level Baddie, the extending from 3 months to 6 months. So there's 4 women who initially joined. Hey, thanks for joining. The 4 women who initially joined Next Level Baddie in February for the March start date, 2 of them have extended to 6 months, right? And so now I'm really interested to see, like, is it going to be 50% client retention? Is it going to be 75% client retention? Are the other 2 going to, like, all of them re-sign? But really the key here is when you have existing clients in your offers, you want to make sure that they are upselling into the next stage, because that is how, like, honestly, one of the things that I wish that I measured the success of my business on early on is client retention. Like, I just was not. And this is another thing with like when you're early on in your business, like the biggest thing I've learned is there's so many things that like we're just not thinking about. Like, we're not like, I know when I started my business, I wasn't really thinking about like working with dream clients. I was just like, I need a freaking client. Like, give me someone to like work with, to get experience with. I was also not thinking about client retention. I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I just need to make sales this month. And like, if they resign, they resign. If I didn't even know the concept of resigning, I was like, I have an offer. I'm going to serve them in it. When we're done, they're gone. Now I have to go find new people. Like, I didn't think about like, what if you continued working with someone for longer? Like, one of the girls inside Next Level Baddie has been working with me since September. Like, by the time she's done inside Next Level Baddie, she will have been working with me for a year. Do you know what kind of results you can get for clients when you work with them longer term? It's like honestly unmatched. And especially like, I know one of the girls in the live, like Sonia right now, like, you do SEO, you actually need 3 to 6 months to actually create like a tangible, really solid result for your client in terms of their traffic on their website, right? Honestly, anything that anyone is doing, like one of my clients who re-signed yesterday, she's like a wellness career coach. Like, she helps people make sure that they are balanced when they're pursuing their passions, whether it's a job, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's balancing a job and a side hustle. And she just re-signed a client for 6 months, and she's going to get him so many more results because you're working with people for longer. You get to know them. And again, the beautiful thing for the business is that you have that recurring revenue, you have the client retention. You just like, I just think it's a really important metric that like I wish that I had paid attention to earlier. And client retention is going to be the way that you can create these like kind of like seemingly crazy results of like, oh, like 16K in sales in the first 7 days of May. Well, it's not random. It's not random. Like, I knew this. I literally intentionally, 2 out of the 3 clients who re-signed or who are the clients who came on that the sales were from, those were like like I knew. I literally was like, this woman, hopefully she's going to re-sign. And then this other woman, I think it's time for her to upgrade. Like, this is a very intentional strategy. And so when you build up also this momentum where you have, like right now, for example, I have like 5 or 6 women who are just like, Next Level Baddie is the next step. I just need to figure out like when the right time is. Like, when you have that pool of people who are interested, they're in your world, a lot of these people are in my membership, then you're basically just pulling them through when they're ready, and you're not having to go out and find brand new clients all the time. Because if you have to find brand new clients every single month, that's what's going to create the roller coaster income, honestly. Not having longer term offers and having to find brand new clients every month, like that is a recipe for freaking income roller coaster. And I was on that for so long, and I'm finally off of it because of the way I've structured my offers and the way that I have my and the way that I'm actually upselling people within offers. So just like pop in the comments if you have any like questions or you want me to like go deeper on something. I want to make sure that like this is super valuable for you guys. But the last thing that I want to tell you about this whole client retention piece and this 2-step kind of offer suite model, because one of the women who upgraded from the membership into Next Level Baddie, she's someone who I've been working with for a long time. And so when I invited her into Next Level Baddie, like I know exactly how she works. I know she takes massive action. I know she's a freaking baddie. Like I know she's gonna like blow up. And that way, when you are actually upselling clients, you get to vet them first a little bit, right? Like especially in your higher proximity programs where someone is with you, like in Slack every week, they're coming on calls, like you're reviewing their work. Like you want to make sure that it's the right match for you too, right? It's not just about the client, but it's also like, you get to make sure that you're pulling in people who you know are going to be successful, who you know have what it takes, they have the traits to really get big results, right? So it's a way of actually kind of almost like protecting you as well, to make sure that you're not pulling in everyone brand new into your high ticket offer who maybe you're not quite sure has what it takes or is the right fit for your program. Okay, so Sonia's saying that was my mindset, but your method of nurturing got my first client to upsell from blog optimization to a 6-month big offer. And the results we are already having, it's so good, and that wouldn't have been. Hey Darren, happen if I stayed focused on quick cash. Yeah, exactly. And like, I think it's so hard in the beginning because like, this is really the tough part, I think, about like the early stages of building a business, where it's like, it's almost like we're so inundated online with all these like, oh, like I made 6 figures in 6 months and like I had a 10K month, and like, but it's like, okay, cool. Like I'll tell you, I hit a 10K month 4 months into my business, but like I couldn't replicate it. Like it wasn't an offer that I loved. Like it was just, that's easier to do, but I think the hard part is really building for the long run. And I talked about that a lot on my Instagram stories yesterday. Is it's not about how can I get to 10K months as fast as possible. I did that. Like I did that in the beginning of my business. I was selling a done for you LinkedIn profile service, so for like just under 2K. I could have hit 10K months every month if I had X number of clients, but I was like, this isn't sustainable. Like this is not like, it's not going to work. And I pivoted, and then it wasn't until another year that I hit a 10K month this year in January. But then when I hit this 10K month in January, I actually built recurring revenue. I actually built sustainability into my business. I actually built this machine where I have people upselling. Like when I launched Next Level Baddie in February, literally, I initially actually launched with 5 people. Full disclosure, one of the women ended up leaving early. It just like didn't feel aligned for her, which is like totally fine. Sometimes I will make like exceptions for that if it's really like just bad fit. I don't want anyone to like suffer for like 6 months or whatever. But literally 4 of the 5 women who initially joined Next Level Baddie were in my IG Baddie micro program, which I had ran in January. Like and then another girl, so I had 10 people in IG Baddie. I had another girl who upgraded to the membership from IG Baddie. I actually just heard the other day, one of the other clients in IG Baddie, now she's saying, I want to be in the membership, right? And that's huge client retention. So literally imagine I filled my high ticket offer with freaking like 4 out of the 5 people being people who have been in my program already. I've already watched them work. I've already built the relationship. I didn't have to go out and build trust with brand new people, right? Like it's just, and now I'm actually building a system for myself and my business that's sustainable, right? Like I have recurring revenue into 2025. Like this is so much more enjoyable and so much more like, you know, calmer for my nervous system than like hitting a high cash month, but not being able to repeat it. So Darren's even saying I've been focused on building slowly to sustain. You know, like it's so funny because like my husband just came back from the gym and he's like vacuuming or something, but it's so funny because like for ages in my business, you guys, like literally the first year in my business, I was just like all about speed. I was like, I want it now. I want the 10K month now. I don't want to wait. Like I want to like hire a VA. I was literally just like faster. And every time, my husband is like my partner, like everything in life. And every time he's just like, we cannot grow fast sustainably. We have to slow down. And for literally a year, he was like, please, like, let's please slow down. This is ridiculous. And I just kept hitting my head against the wall, like bashing, literally just being like, no, like faster. I want it now. We can't slow down. And then finally I had to like learn the hard way after a year. I was like, oh my gosh, like still can't find these sustainable cash months. And it wasn't until I finally, like, actually, I was like, okay, let's actually slow down. Let's actually stop obsessing about hitting a 10K month immediately. Let's just, like, actually build the machine, you know? Like, let's actually just focus on building the system that's going to bring in sustainable revenue into the future, right? So it becomes less about, like, I want to hit a 10K month now, but it's more like, I want to create that trajectory, right? Because right now, like I see exactly how I'm going to make multi 6 figures this year. Like I can see that. And when you can see it, you actually don't have that much urgency because you're like, now I just have to kind of like keep going according to the plan. And every month you see it working more and more. That's why the 16K sales week was honestly so pivotal for me, not because of the money. Like, I've made 16K sales month. I've done you know, that kind of stuff, but it's just because of the way it happened, because it shows me the system is working. When people join the membership, they're interested in Next Level Baddie. This is my intention, right? Like, it's not about just, can we make cash now? It's, can we actually build a system that's going to bring in predictable, reliable, recurring revenue from the right people as well, right? Like, we don't want to just make a ton of cash serving crappy people. We want to work with our dream clients, right? So yeah. Once again, I was supposed to go live for like 20 minutes, but now we're like 45 minutes in. Just trying to think if there's any like other kind of interesting nuggets. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I'm honestly like just being like super kind of transparent here, the biggest thing that I'm proud of is like I reached out to those people. And again, that list of 11 people, I told you only one person technically just upgraded into Next Level Baddie, and you know who you are. But I found out so much about the other people, where they're at. A lot of them were just like, you know, next month or the month after that. Like, they're literally like, I'm just working through some things. And like, I know that next time when I reach out, it's like, it's gonna be more successful because I've been nurturing these people, right? And so being in the reps, even if I don't think I'm gonna get the big result yet, because it really doesn't matter. It's about building your muscle of doing the needle moving activities regularly. And also, sorry, my Wi-Fi is like falling apart. I don't know if anyone's even in here anymore, but I'm gonna wrap up. But that is the breakdown of my 16K sales week. Hopefully juicy. Let me know what you loved about it, and if you are ready to build this kind of system inside of your business, fill your offers with dream clients, create a system of upselling your clients easily so that you're not always having to find brand new people off the streets for your high ticket offers every single month, DM me next. Early bird bonus for Next Level Baddie expires on May 15th, so better get inside. All right, I'll see you guys soon.